The crypto markets this morning are extremely volatile, starting with a big pump this morning, and now we are pulling back. In this video, I'll explain to you why we are so volatile, but other news is saying we could have a very bright future the rest of the summer because of news coming out of the Fed. If you are excited about this video and you're excited about a potential altcoin season still potentially on the menu for this summer, make sure right now to smash that like button, watch the video all the way through, and if you do enjoy it, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any of our content. All right, let's go. To start the video off, let's actually go right into the charts and talk about this big move that happened both on the Bitcoin and Ethereum charts this morning, where we saw prices get back up to levels we haven't seen in multiple days. The reason for this is at 4 a.m. this morning, there was an options expiry for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin with levels up at 106,000, Ethereum all the way up here at 2,600. And while technically we did not get back above them, this is a very common tactic when you have options expiries that you are below. You make a grand push up to them just to make things very interesting. And then again at 4 a.m. when they did expire, you pull back down, you have volatility the day of the markets. So in this case, if you're wondering why we had these big rallies, that options expiry was a massive, massive deal. But I'll even tell you why this could be long-term bullish. It's because even though we didn't quite get to the options expiry, money was wiped off the futures accounts of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Weak hands were lost. And a lot of times after volatile move back down, the whales, the institutions, the larger players actually like to scoop up this money. Now that there are discouraged investors out there that lost money on this options expiry, it's a great excuse to buy up dips and send us back to the upside. As you go out to longer time frames, even like the 12-hour chart, we've been monitoring on Luxago major support levels on this pullback that we continue to keep bouncing off of this 12-hour smart trail over and over and over again. If you don't have Luxago, I highly encourage you to pick it up today. If you're serious about investing, if you're serious about trading and making money in these markets, you're going to want to have a superpower tool out there that helps you identify support, resistance, reversals, when to buy and when to sell. And right now, there's no better option out there than Luxago. There's a link for it down below. Go check it out, and you can come join even in our VIP trading group where we use it every single day. Go sign up for Luxago today. You won't regret it. Now, while we've covered the volatility this morning due to options expiry, let's get into the longer-term potential bullishness for the altcoin space. For months now, we've been talking about how altcoin season probably would not come until mid to late summer. And even though there's been moments here and there where we've gotten very discouraged about that potentially happening, I'm thinking about different things between fights between Donald Trump and Elon Musk, fights between Israel and Iran, and even the Fed continuing to hold off on rate cuts. We're beginning to see some signs that we could have relief coming in just another month. I'm referring to an X post that went out this morning from the Investing Bros account that says that Fed Waller, one of the Fed chairmen, says that interest rate cuts could begin as early as July. Now, of course, as we have been saying for several months now, we don't have a reason for altcoin season to start really until we have added liquidity. And that would come in the form of eventual rate cuts from the Fed. However, Jerome Powell has continued to stand up on a podium at every FOMC day and pretty much make it sound like Fed cuts probably are not on the menu for quite some time. Fed Waller, of course, is going against that grain here this morning, saying that July they potentially will be on the table. And before we get overly bullish, I want to clarify this by saying Fed Waller is just one man amongst many who end up voting on these issues. He also tends to be the one that probably leans more conservative, siding more with Donald Trump and his administration than other Fed members. So he's going to say things that are a little more dovish than the rest of his team. However, with him making this public statement, you are going to start to see some pressure within the Fed Reserve that maybe you start to see some more votes sway towards a rate cut if they want to continue to have their jobs and be in good standing over the next couple of years. Jerome Powell, of course, as the lead chairman, he's going to be out here in just under a year. He doesn't necessarily care about his position, but maybe some of the younger members do want to make sure they're in line and in step with the president. Could Waller be leading maybe an internal revolt within the Fed that cuts could come much sooner? I say this because if you were to go over to the CME futures predictions right now and you're looking at the month of July, we still see an 85.5% probability that rates will stay at the 4.25 to 4.5% rate that we're currently at. This site really doesn't predict a cut until September, and even then, it's only giving us roughly about a 68% chance, with 32%, give or take, saying a pause is still likely. So nothing is a certainty whatsoever, and Fed Waller does not speak for the rest of the Federal Reserve. But it is one of those moments that makes you think and question that if there are people inside of the Federal Reserve willing to cut rates right now, could we see more pressure coming to get those votes to go up and have that liquidity coming in July rather than waiting for the fall? Of course, if all of that happens, and that's a big if, then of course, that liquidity would bring a lot of money to altcoins. Altcoin season would take off, and the prices absolutely could go parabolic. But for now, we continue to wait, we continue to be patient, we continue to examine the charts and the news and wait for confirmation before making any crazy moves with our money. As always, I want to make sure you guys are aware we are not financial advisors here on this channel. We do examine the news daily. We do take a look at the charts. We do talk about the increased probabilities of movements in either direction. But make sure you are not investing money right now that you cannot afford to lose. Don't be using your rent money. Don't be using your groceries money. Don't be using your children's money for their school. Make sure you are investing wisely. And if you do have serious questions about how much you can afford to invest, that would be a great question to find a financial advisor and seek their help. For now, though, with the Investing Bros channel, we continue to monitor this probability increasing of an altcoin season later this year. With that said, it's time to monitor the altcoins that will have the biggest impact on this movement. We're still watching the Ethereum chart right now that has come back down towards support levels, down towards 2,500, but it's still sitting in a very bullish formation called a bull pennant pattern. And again, until we lose this green line, until we lose the Lux Algo Smart Trail support, I continue to believe that over the next couple of weeks and months, especially if the Fed cuts rates, we could see Ethereum explode up to 3,800 and beyond over the next couple of months. But for now, continue to monitor as long as this support continues to hold. Maybe some other altcoins are bleeding, but Ethereum is still holding up very, very strong. On the flip side, the other altcoin that I'm monitoring right now to predict altcoin season will be the third largest cryptocurrency, XRP. And it's kind of sitting in almost a reverse situation from Ethereum, where Ethereum has more of a flat top of resistance with rising support. XRP seems to have a slightly downtrending level of resistance with a flat level support here around the $2.09 region. But once again, as long as these support levels hold around $2, XRP maintains this consolidative movement that really could explode over the next couple of months. And of course, if we take a look at the zoomed out perspective, this still has targets in the short term of up back above $4 and long-term targets all the way up above $12. If you take a look at our bull flag pattern, that could say the rest of this bull market sends XRP up here towards $11 to $12. The other chart we continue to monitor when we look for altcoin season, of course, is the BTC.D chart, otherwise known as Bitcoin Dominance. And after a little bit of a fake out back here on June 10th, where we did drop back down below trending support, you can still see a rising level of resistance, but a constricted level of support. Except for this fake out, we continue to squeeze more and more as we move back above 65% dominance. And what this means is while Bitcoin's not ready to collapse just yet in its dominance, we're getting very close to a big decision. Will we break the resistance above roughly 65.15 and explode up to the likes of 66, 67? Or are we still gearing up for a major pullback on Bitcoin dominance back down below 62, below 60, and an altcoin season comes? Now, I realize that this is extremely frustrating to continue to sit and wait for the altcoin season to come. And I cannot promise you the exact date or the exact time of when it happens. But what I can tell you is that we will be here with you every single day in this bull market. We'll be here with charts. We'll be here with news. We're over in our VIP trading group every single day answering questions and helping people handle different trade setups. So keep an eye on those charts. Keep watching Ethereum, keep watching XRP, keep watching Bitcoin dominance. I know this time can be extremely confusing and discouraging as you continue to wait for your altcoin bags and altcoin portfolio to skyrocket. But I'll tell you this, the fundamentals continue to pile up for a massive bull market. And if Fed Waller is true, maybe we're seeing that start here in July. If not, we'll continue to hodl on here at the Investing Bros channel. We'll bring you content each and every single day with the charts and the news that you need to know to make your own financial decisions. Smash that like button on your way out. Hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Adios.